What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another About Teams video. I know it's been a while since our last upload, but kind of school taking over. But we're excited to announce we'll be making videos full time this summer. So we'll include many different topics: NBA, NFL, what's going on in the NHL. Even going to take a look at the women's sport as the WNBA starts, and with Caitlin Clark, should be an exciting time. We're excited. We're going to have another co-host and guests throughout the summer, and we're just going to try to make this a full-time podcast just to talk about a variety of sports. But with that being said, today's video is going to be the NBA playoff predictions, as the games do start a little bit later. I'd say around like noon is the first one, and it's going to be an exciting playoffs, man, because as we know, the Western Conference especially has just been really stacked teams, top to bottom, all really have a good shot. The play-in was very fun as well, competitive. So yeah, it should be an exciting time. Hopefully these playoff predictions are better than my NFL ones where I had the Cowboys win the Super Bowl. But hey, you got to only move forward, right? Can only get better. So with that being said, let's take a look at the first game, or first series we'll preview, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans lost that 7-8 to the Lakers, but then just beat the Kings. They were pretty much in control after midway through the first quarter, and they move on. One of the big things, though, is Zion's injured, and it looks like he won't be playing this series. And if he was healthy, I actually could see an upset here, but I'm not going to take it. I think Thunder with SGA, Chet Holmgren, obviously Jalen Williams, his second year has been insanely one of the most improved players in my eyes. Thunder just got an overall good team, and I think, Pelicans, you got a lot of depth with Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, obviously Brandon Ingram, who stepped up against the Suns a couple years ago in the playoffs. He's been a beast. But he's still coming back off of an injury, which kind of concerns me. But in a series, I just trust the Thunder more, and they have home court advantage, number one seed in the West, and I like them to win the series in 6. I think they'll get it done. But the Pelicans, if Zion was here, maybe something could be different. But unfortunately, he's been dealing with all these injury problems because he looked great in that Lakers playing game. He was like their whole team basically before he went down. But stinks. But yeah, that'll be the first round. And then the next round, which should be an exciting 4-5, we got the Clippers versus the Mavericks. One of the biggest question marks in this series is another injury with Kawhi Leonard. Unsure if he's he's questionable. Not sure if he's gonna play game 1 or game 2, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he misses at least one just to play it safe. And I think that's pretty much the difference in this game. If he was fully healthy, I think this would have been a 7-game series, and it still might be. And but I think without Kawhi, this first game, possibly in just uncertain health at that point, athletes, especially like Kawhi, are so valuable to their team. And the Clippers, after that insane, I think it was like start of or late of December to like February, were unstoppable. Had like a 26-5 record in that span, best in the league. We're beating some of the best teams, but then they kind of slowed down. The Mavericks are on the rise now. Went from like almost a guaranteed playing spot to a solidified 5 seed that looks hot and is even favored in game 1. And I like Dallas here, and I'll play it safe. I'll take them in 7, but I could see easily Dallas winning in 6 as well. But the Clippers, they still got Harden. Paul George is a beast. You got some depth with Trey Mann. But ever since the additions of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, I like this Mavericks team, and I think they're good enough, especially with Luke and Kyrie, to do their thing and move on. Then we got another great series, my Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns. And the Phoenix Suns have blatantly just had their number this year, beating them last game of the season to clinch the 6 seed and avoid the play-in, and to bump the Timberwolves down from a spot for the 1 seed or 2 seed to the 3 seed. Overall, though, still a great year. 56 wins for the Timberwolves. But I don't know. It's just the Phoenix has their number, man. And it's because the Timberwolves defense is so reliant on perimeter defense at the 3 with Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert to defend the paint. But the problem is that Phoenix is great taking the mid-range. And that's where Minnesota's defense becomes vulnerable. And the series is going to come down to Chris Finch, Timberwolves head coach. He has done a great job this season, but this is the one team where they can't play their two bigs at least a huge amount together. You've been able to do with Naz Reid coming off the bench. So good. He plays like a wing. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be a huge X factor in this series because the Timberwolves need the size to guard Booker and Beal, or speed, I should say, and then McDaniels on Kevin Durant. I hope Chris Finch is able to adjust to this because they've had a week to prepare, and they have. I feel like the one thing Timberwolves have is depth over the Phoenix Suns, so they have a chance to throw counter punches. But you're going to have to solve. You can't leave. The one thing you learn is if you guard all three, you can't leave Grayson Allen open, one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Same with Eric Gordon, Royce O'Neal. So Phoenix is a dangerous team, but they're also inconsistent. I think the series is going to go 7 games or 6, at least 6, but most likely 7 after thinking about it more. But I'm going to take the Timberwolves. They've been the better team all year. I trust Chris Finch to figure it out. They got to figure out a way to get Anthony Edwards going this series. He's been a playoff riser, but Phoenix has held him to 14 points per game in their 3-game matchups this season, and none of them have been close. So if the Timberwolves, are able to just adjust, I hope they can. As a Timberwolves fan, I haven't had a season this good in years, or my whole life, basically. So you hope that they can figure it out, but it wouldn't surprise me if Phoenix wins the series. But I'm going to go with my gut and go with the Timberwolves. Then we have Denver, Los Angeles. Denver, reigning champs. Los Angeles, I think they won't get swept like they did last year in the Western Conference Finals against Denver. But I think max 6 games, most likely 5. Denver wins this. Just best player in the world, Nikola Jokic. And Denver, the defending champs aren't going home round 1, so I got Denver in 5. Then we move on to the Celtics Heat. No Jimmy Butler. He won last night against the Bulls to get in. But the Heat are they're not, I don't think they have any 8th seed run to the NBA Finals like they did last year. Celtics, 64 wins, best team in the NBA. Starting 5, it's like an all-star team out there. They've been great. Jason Tatum obviously leading the way, but great supporting cast with Kristaps and Drew Holiday. Additions and Derek White, Jaylen Brown doing their thing. And, good depth with Payton Pritchard, Sam Hauser. They got some shooters off the bench. But Boston wins this, and I'll go a sweep or 5 games. Without Jimmy Butler, there's no hope for the Heat. Then we got Cleveland Magic. If you like defense, this is your series to watch it. 2 great defensive teams. Cleveland, similar to the Clippers, had a stretch in the middle of the season, coincidentally, when they were missing 2 of their best players in Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. They were heating up, 2nd seed, and they've been kind of around the top 4 all season as in the East as they get now the 4 seed, and we'll have home court against the Magic. Magic, huge surprise team this year. Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs taking a nice leap, all defense probably this year. It's been great to see the Magic get where they are. Jamal Mosley should definitely be in consideration of Coach of the Year, might be my Coach of the Year. He's been great, and this has been a great run for the Magic, but the Cavs just need this more. Obviously, questions about Donovan Mitchell's future here. Does he want to belong in Cleveland? And if Cleveland gets embarrassed like they did last year, which they honestly could, because I thought last year's team was even better. They were a 50-plus win team, 51, I believe, and they were just stacked. I thought that was a team that matched up very well against the top teams like Milwaukee and the Celtics last year, and I actually picked them to win the finals because I thought they were that good. They lost in 5 games to the Knicks. It was embarrassing. And if they go home this round, they got to trade someone. And that'll probably be Donovan Mitchell. So Cleveland, a lot of pressure's on you, and I think they'll win this in 6 games, but the Magic aren't going to go down without a fight. So wouldn't surprise me if it even won 7. But I got Cleveland win the series. Milwaukee, Indiana, Giannis probably going to miss the first 2 games at least, my guess. Calf injuries don't want to mess with, as we saw with KD. They can obviously lead to heavy Achilles injuries. The Pacers, very offensive-oriented team. Obviously, Tyrese leading the way. Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam has really transformed their offense since he got there. And I'll go with Milwaukee in 7. I think It's going to be tough. I say as long as you can split one of your 2 home games with Giannis out, you'll be okay. But the Pacers have had Milwaukee's number this year, so it's not going to be easy. But I trust the experience in Damian Lillard in Milwaukee to just get this done. And I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I think the Bucks will win 7, but it's not going to be like an easy series at all. Then we move on to another very appealing series. This is an ordinary 2-7 matchup, the New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers were a top 3 seed back in late January, before Joel Embiid got injured. And then they kind of plummeted in the standings. But since he came back, he's been getting ramped up. He's looked pretty good, and he has a week to rest. It's going to be a very close series, man, because the Knicks are scrappy. Jalen Brunson probably, in my opinion, either all-NBA first team or all-NBA second team. Got some great depth around him with Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo. Obviously, you got who else? That center, Hartenstein that can give Joel Embiid at least some problems. But, Joel's going to do his thing. Tyrese Maxey, second-year leap. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think in 7 games, the Philadelphia 76ers pull off the 7-2. I just like Philly more. They have the experience of getting here, and they need this, man. Joel Embiid needs a great playoff series because we know we've been getting critical hate, and he was on a tear this year, averaging like 34 points, was going to win his MVP if he didn't get injured. But I'll take the upset here. Knicks are still a great team. Wouldn't surprise me if they won this in 6 or 7. But, Philly is not your ordinary 7 seed. And kind of the way it plays out. You need a couple upsets in your bracket, and I think this is one where I could easily see it happening. So with that being said, we move on to the second round, where I have the Thunder Mavericks and Luka SGA, going to be a movie. But this is where I think the Thunder's youth becomes a problem. Mavericks have players like Kyrie and Luka who have been there, and I think Thunder, obviously a great season, but sorry. I will have the Mavericks winning the series in 6 or 7. I'll go the full 7. I think the Thunder can take it the distance. They're proven me that I don't think their youth will play too much into it, but in that Game 7 atmosphere where Luka's been there before, I think it's just more so experience than anything. And he can't doubt Luka in a Game 7, as we saw with Phoenix a couple of years ago with that 64-win Suns team. So I got the Mavericks winning. The 5 seed makes it to the WCF. They ride this high momentum they've ended the season with, and it'll be sure exciting whoever they face, which will be the winner of the Wolves Nuggets. And this is from a series last year, but man, this series would be electric. The Nuggets defeated them in 5 games, but it was a really competitive 5 games outside of Game 1 where the Nuggets just destroyed them. But this year, Naz Reid and McDaniels will play, which would be a huge factor. And I'm going to ride my Timberwolves in 7 games. They just have the Nuggets number. They match up really well with the Nuggets, especially with Naz Reid there. And this is a team where they can play big and just give them trouble. The season series was 2-2. You can't take much into that. But in those 2 games they lost, no Karl Anthony Towns, no Rudy Gobert 1 game, no Naz Reid in 1 game. They were literally starting Luka Garza or having him play viable minutes, and they lost by 3. And the Timberwolves just play very well against the Nuggets, but the Nuggets are obviously playoff experiences. Will go the distance, but I just think I'm gonna go with my gut, my team, Anthony Edwards. I love them, and so with that being said, I will have the Timberwolves winning in 7 games and an upset. Denver will be back here. We'll definitely win more titles, but if you don't pick your team, at least to go decently far, how loyal are you, right? So that will set up a Mavs-Wolves conference finals. And then on the other side, Celtics-Cavs. Celtics in 5 or 6. Nothing to be said, really. Celtics are just better. Cleveland's backcourt could keep it interesting, and I think Mobley on Tatum could actually give Tatum some problems. So that's why I actually have this more towards a 6-game series than a 5-game series, because Cleveland has some decent matchups. Jared Allen on Kristaps won't be, fully, obviously, be able to contain, but as long as you can just, make their baskets hard to earn, I think this can be a scrappy series. And then Milwaukee versus the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm going to go Philly to the WCF or ECF this time. I think they get over that hump of, not making it past the second round. Milwaukee just hasn't had the chemistry this year, and Philly really, if they're healthy, I think they have just better chemistry, and they have the players to get it done. And I'll take Philadelphia to win I'm going to go 7 games. I think it goes the distance, and I just trust Philly more with what they showed me when they were healthy. And then we'll stick to the Eastern Conference side. Boston, Philadelphia. This is where Philly's magic rise, the 7th seed, comes to an end. Boston's on a mission this year, man. They've come so close so many times, and I just trust them. I have the Celtics winning, and this one should take about 6 games. Boston's just been unreal this year, and they haven't proven to me why they shouldn't at least be in the finals. And then Wolves, Mavs. This series would be hard. When they played in the regular season, I don't think Kyrie only played in 1 game, and it's just been. It'll be tough to tell what happens, but I'll go with the Timberwolves size. You have the guards like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards to, at least give them problems. Kyrie and Luka still going to do their thing, but where the Timberwolves have the advantage is the front court with Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. PJ Washington's still solid. I'm just not sure he's got the build. And then the depth with Naz Reid to come off the bench. I know he's been a Mavs killer because when you go to the bench, you got bench players facing against bench players, and Naz Reid is one of the best bench players in the league in the 6 man of the year running. Probably top 3 voter. Probably going to finish around 2nd or 1st, him or Malik Monk. But that game in that series would go 7 in my eyes or 6. But I'll trust the Timberwolves to get it done with their front court to mainly carry them, and Anthony Edwards to do his thing. But Luke and Kyrie obviously going to win you a couple games, so it could go the distance. Wouldn't surprise me either way. And then that sets up a Wolves Celtics final. And if it's anything like the regular season games, this could be one of the best finals ever. Both games went into overtime. The home team won both, but they were electric games. And I think if this series matched up, they would go the distance because they just got the veterans, like a Drew Holiday, Mike Conley, veteran experience that can shoot. Anthony Edwards versus Jaylen Brown, 2 young stars. Kristaps Porzingis versus Rudy Gobert, different skill set, but both stars in their own rights. Karl-Anthony Towns, his shooting ability. Jaden McDaniels, a defensive specialist, and then obviously Jason Tatum just can do it all. And Derek White, and then, like I said, going back to the bench, you got Naz Reid versus Sam Hauser, and, you got Nickeil Alexander-Walker to throw at. It's just a battle of depth. Both teams got great depth, and both teams got great starting lineups. And in my eyes, I'm obviously, you're going to be a little bit biased, but, I really think this could go 7. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics to win the NBA championship. I think this just has to be their year. It's shaped up like that. Minnesota still is young in some areas, like with Ant, and I feel like they'll get flustered late in some games. And I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics to win the NBA championship, and Jason Tatum, getting that, weight off his back, and Jaylen Brown, because they've been so close for years. I think this is finally the year they get done, but we shall see. Anything can happen. Wouldn't surprise me if it's Nuggets Celtics and the Nuggets win the championship. It's really all depends on how you look at it. But it should be exciting. Like I said, we'll be starting up full-time podcasting back in once the school's year's over. So it should be in May. But with that being said, thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this content, and we'll catch you in the next video.